Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Our focus this week is Missouri Southern's cross country teams. Very successful season once again. Joining me, we have two runners as well as the coach of the team. I'm joined by Ashlee, Gidieon, and Coach Burnham. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's December. We're recording this program, and I know you've had many months of activities and running. Your feelings, Coach, as far as now that everything's behind you, you've gone to nationals, kind of just a quick look back at how this year's gone.
Yeah, it was really a great season for both the men and women team. Probably as good as or better than I thought it would be. And the men's team, conference champions, regional champions, first time in several years that the men have actually won the regional. So got to go to nationals as a team. And then on the women's side, we were third in the conference and fifth in our region, or actually sixth, sorry. And had one individual, that being Ashlee, qualify for nationals. So.
Great. So having both of you here today, having had that national experience, which is just recently occurred, you went all the way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for this. Yeah. So I'll go share some of the feelings, what it was like. I know when you have national events, this is the top of the core. Everybody from around the country. What was it like being with all the other runners from around the country there?
It felt really good to be with runners like I am and people that were the best in the nation, but it was also intimidating being with all of them.
How many runners did you have there then, approximately? Did you have?
A little over 300.
About 300,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about women's as well as men's division. So maybe we need to explain for the audience who maybe aren't familiar with how cross country runs. How it works. You have a men's race and a women's race separately. So let's explain how that worked for you at nationals.
Sure. There's two races. The men's race is a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. And it's on a golf course. Conditions were very muddy. And then the women's race is a 6K, which is just short of 4 miles.
But on the same course?
On the same course,
right.
Yes. On the same day, the men ran at 11, the women ran at 12:15 in the afternoon. So.
He mentioned very muddy. How did that affect you as runners? I mean, I'm sure that must have some effect.
Yeah, it was definitely very hard to find your footing, and it just seemed like you're just sliding the whole time.
So, did you find that a challenge?
Yeah, it was really a challenge because we had a lot of runners falling down. The main challenge was going uphill. You couldn't get that grip to go uphill, so it was really some challenge.
So it's a variety of terrain. It's not just a flat level surface.
No, it's like I said. This course was on a golf course, and so there was a lot of up and down, turns and stuff like that. So definitely challenging.
Well, I know when I've seen coverage of races that it seems like you have a large group at the start. Everybody's kind of lined up ready to go when they say go. So is that a key factor, especially when you have those kind of conditions?
Yeah, it really was for this race because it was so muddy and so wet that they actually started the race once and then several people fell down. So they recalled it and everybody had to go back to the start. And they restarted the race, and that happened in both the men's and women's races. So.
Both of you were ready to go, and I was like, nope, never mind, come back.
Yeah.
Tie that together. So, but before you made nationals, I know you had a very successful season, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about how the season went along. And for our viewers, you start very early. When classes are starting in August, you've already put in some time getting ready for running and for the season.
Yeah, definitely. We put in a lot of training, and then it just piled on with the classes.
So your season actually starts the first part of September?
Yeah, we actually report in August. So then our first competition is August, the 1st of September.
First part of September, beginning of August. So, and for the season, you had a very successful season conference-wise. You have conference competition and winning conference honors as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the conference championship. The men won that, and Gidieon won the individual title. And then the women, like I said, were third, and Ashlee was fifth overall. So.
I'm curious from the athlete's perspective, you mentioned you put in a lot of work, a lot of practice. For people who maybe aren't runners, and there's a lot of dedication. You mentioned how far you're running, as far as the mindset, how you work through that challenge of being able to run that far. For many people watching saying, I can never run that far. What inspires you to do that?
I feel like I don't really think about it when I do it. Just kind of do it, and I enjoy running. It just relieves stress, and I can think about whatever I want to think about during the run, and it really makes time go by really fast.
Gidieon, you have a little farther to run as one of the men. What's your approach to running that distance?
I really have that passion of running, considering the fact that I'm from Kenya. In Kenya, a lot of people run.
Right.
So I enjoy running. I don't worry about the distance or anything. It's comes from my heart.
So it becomes just second nature. I'm running, I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Yeah,
so.
I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Coach, it must be important to have athletes who really enjoy the sport they're participating in.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you have to have a dedication to it and a want to do it because it's not for everybody.
Right.
And a lot of people can't do it. And so when you find those special individuals like these two and the rest of the people that are on the team, you know, that's what you try to accomplish is put together a group that can work together and go for a common goal, you know, so.
And that's probably something the audience may not understand as far as, you know, you're a cross-country team. Even though you're individual runners, you have your own awards, but you're representing a team. So explain perhaps somehow how this ties into the teamwork effort of cross-country. What are you looking for when they say, you know, we're the team, we're individuals running, but we're supporting the team?
Sometimes when like the races get hard and like you feel like you're like falling back, you have to remember that like you're doing it for a team and like it's not just you working hard out there, but like your team's working just as hard as you are. And so that's what like motivates me to try during the races.
So you're motivating each other on the team.
Yeah.
And Gidieon, when
Definitely
you're
teamwork.
leading the way, as you were with, you know, the regionals and the competition, you've been with the conference, are you feeling that you're helping motivate the other members of the team as well?
Yeah. When you're up there, you feel privileged. You have a team that's looking onto you, and at the same time, you like their role model. So they'll want to work hard, come to that level that you are. So that's, and we usually motivate each other, to do teamwork and actually prosper in these competitions.
So was that a key for success, Coach, you think, when you came away successful at the regionals?
I would definitely say so, yeah. It was a true team effort. We really had some great individual performances for the team, and because of that, they won the championship. So, yeah, it was a great way to win that race and then move on to nationals. So.
When you're running at the beginning of the season, going back now to August when you first, you know, reported and started, do you set goals that we want to get to nationals? What kind of goals do you go into the season with? What are you looking for?
I like to set like smaller goals to like prepare or like
Kind of step by step?
build towards like getting to nationals. So it's like small goals that are reachable, but also a challenge at the same time.
Right. How about you? What kind of goals did you have starting off the season this year?
Yeah, when you're starting a season, you must have goals. So, when you start the season, you tell yourself, I want to achieve these. Yeah, even as a team, you tell yourselves, we want to achieve this, but achieving that won't be that easy. So you have to work for it.
So you set the goals a little higher.
Yeah, you set the goals really high. So, as they say, when you want to reach the moon, you aim at the stars.
So you gotta keep working. Did you find this for the team as well, that the people are saying we can do better, or we can keep getting improving?
Yeah, this group's been really good about that, and you know, they've set some goals at the beginning of the year, and we met a lot of those goals this year. So it was a good year for both the men's and women's teams.
Okay. Well, speaking of terms of teams, obviously you have people who come to Missouri Southern have a very strong tradition of the team. Is that helpful for Missouri Southern, that you've had years of success?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, the people that have come before, the athletes that have come before this group, they definitely laid the groundwork. And that's one of our traditions here at Missouri Southern, you know, for cross country and distance running, is that we've kind of prided ourselves on building our programs around the distance runners. So And these people have just continued that tradition. So.
So you're following in the footsteps of some other successful runners.
Yes, exactly.
So when you chose to Missouri Southern, you knew about the history of this program and the traditions of what we have here.
Yeah.
Right. And I've heard a lot has been said about Missouri Southern's course. As a matter of fact, I believe you hosted the regionals here this year.
Yeah, we've hosted several times, but for this year we hosted the regional meet, and excuse me, next year we'll also host the regional meet here and conference. And we've hosted the national meet here, I think 4 or 5 times in the past.
So what makes Missouri Southern's course special? I mean, obviously there's your home course, but what do you like about the features of this course?
I like our home course because it's only one lap. We just do like one big lap.
It's one long path instead of round around.
Yeah, and it's very like visible. So like spectators and everything, you always have somebody like there like cheering you on, which is very motivational. And it's just like a really well set out course to run.
What do you like about Missouri Southern?
Yeah, I can say that the Missouri Southern course is actually very good. It has all the up and downs that are usually in the cross country stuff. So and for us we just go like for the 10K we do 2 laps of the same course. So it's actually very good. It's soft, and the grass, it's always so good.
It's good surface and it's maintained well for you.
It's maintained well, exactly.
Did that help you feel when you, at the regionals, that you were on your home course, that you knew what you were running on?
Yeah, we ran on our course most of the time, so we actually know the course very well. Yeah. So that's an advantage to us.
So one feature of benefits of having that regional and the conference championships next year coming up along those lines. And the course itself, I know from people who drive past Missouri Southern, they see the nice arch, the entryway, the finish line, and so forth. But it goes back quite a ways on the property that we don't. Normal people don't go down there to see.
Yeah,
I mean, the outside athletes.
Yeah, very true. And it basically extends a mile from the corner of Newman and Duquesne back towards the east, and. So there's a lot of area there that we've utilized and made a championship course out of. So.
I'm sure that also ties into the university helping maintain that for you to keep that course in good shape.
Yeah, for sure.
And tying that together and working that together. That versus running, say, at a golf course or some of the other places, I imagine that would be a little different for you to run and tying that together. Well, honors received this year. I know that, of course, you had the honor in regional, and then being able to go to nationals for the first time must have really felt like quite an honor to be able to do that.
It felt really good.
And so when you found out, at the completion of regionals that you'd reached that point, what was your reaction? They said, hey, you get to go to Pennsylvania.
It was just kind of like, I was relieved because like I worked so hard throughout the season. And it was like all the hard work like finally paid off. And it was just kind of like, I made it, and like all the stress went away.
So you reached that goal on the checkoff list to say, I can do it, and try that through. Of course, Gidieon, you had very much success at regionals, and knowing that then when you found out I'm going to nationals as well must have been very nice.
Yeah, I was really excited. Yeah, considering the how the season was going, our team was really doing well. So we had that mentality that we are going to make it to go to national, so we were really excited.
And that was a team celebration, that you all were going together and so forth and working together on that. I understand you were also the regional male athlete of the year, so receiving some recognition along those lines.
Yes.
Coach, tell me what it makes, as far as from a coach's perspective, to have one of your athletes selected for that honor.
Well, that's a great honor, and it's just a testament to Gidieon and his hard work. We've only had one other person that's been the regional champion here, so it's really a great honor for him and the school.
Right.
So.
And then, of course, we have national rankings, which, you hear about this time of year, everybody's talking about football rankings and basketball rankings, but your team was nationally ranked as well.
Yeah, the men's team, they were, I think we were ranked 7th going to nationals. We fell a little bit short of that, but it's one of those things where I think maybe gives us a little fuel for the fire for next year, because we were picked to do a little bit better and we didn't, so I think it just gives us some motivation for next year. So.
Right. So always looking to the future and working that together. And I know the people who are watching probably talking about cross-country running, and you talk about the love of running and the dedication, that they're probably curious, when did you start, as far as how young did you start running? You're in the university, college now. At what age did you say, I want to be a runner?
I don't think like I really chose to be a runner. It was more of like people like told me I should try it, and then once I tried it, then I was like, oh, it's not so bad. But it was my sophomore year of high school, so I was about 16 years old.
Okay, so it was one of those high school sports that you said, I'm going to try this.
Yeah,
It worked out well. And Gidieon, how about your background? You mentioned you're from Kenya, but running has been something you've enjoyed all your life too.
Actually, I wasn't running before.
Oh.
Yeah, I started running after I completed my high school. But what made me know that I could run is when I was young, going to school, to the primary school level, it was quite far, so I had to walk all that distance, come back during lunchtime, eat lunch at home, and go back to school. So the period we were given to go eat lunch at home and come back to school was very short. So you had to go run home and run back to school. So doing that, I realized that I have the ability to run. But going to high school, I was in a boarding school, so we majorly focused on academics. I didn't do much in running. So after I completed my high school, then I decided, let me try this. Yeah.
And so they've been running ever since then,
So
tying that together. So Coach, when you're looking for future athletes, you're looking for people who have this interest, not only the skills in running, but they have that interest.
Yeah, really, it's people that have a love for it that are the ones that are probably the most successful at it. So.
Well, I know some of our viewers may say, well, I run marathons, or we have a lot of marathons and runs around us, and they might be curious. So outside of the seasons and so forth, do you run those types of things for fun, or is it pretty much you focus on seasons?
I always focused on the season. I was never a big distance person. 26 miles seems like a lot
longer to run.
Ways, yeah, and the first time I did a half marathon was 2 years ago, and that was the farthest I've ever gone before. And 13 miles, that still sounds like a long ways.
Long distance.
Yeah, definitely.
So what tips would you have as runners for people who might be watching that are looking forward to some of the marathons we have around this region as far as preparation? Maybe somebody who doesn't do it on a team basis or training like you do. What sort of tips might you give to someone?
First of all, you must have that will to do it. Yeah, you must have passion in it. Then know that you have to put in some effort. It doesn't come that easy. Right. So it takes a long time to build in the mileage and everything. So when someone is running out there, have that mentality that it doesn't come really fast. You have to persevere, do all those stuff that will make you a better runner. Yeah. So
it's an ongoing thing. I know if you drive around Joplin or Webb City in this area, we have a lot of walking, jogging, running trails, and it seems like sometimes there's a steady stream of people running.
Yes.
And so do you feel that the sport of running is growing, that you're seeing more interest in it?
I think so, yeah. You mentioned those trails, and yeah, there seems to always be people that are doing that. So it definitely has grown in this area over the last several years. So.
I don't know, your team is visible in the community because I know I've been driving home sometime or driving to work early in the morning, and I see groups of your runners out and about throughout the community. So you do a lot of practice off the course, getting ready for running and tying that together. Well, we're finished with the cross country season, but there's also more running to come. I mean, you have an indoor track season, so tell me how that works, what we have as far as the timetable and what we're looking at for indoor track.
We'll start doing some indoor, shorter workouts, not so long, like what we do for cross country, and just prepare for more, it's a little bit shorter of a distance, if you do the 3K, and so we'll do more speed.
Okay, so a different type of running when you're indoors, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, we build more on speed because the track is about speed and time, so we'll focus on the speed, yeah.
So we're getting ready for you to start training those team members for the indoor season.
So we've got a little bit of a break here after Nationals. Actually, Gideon's been invited to run in a special 5K indoor race, and so we'll be doing that this Friday up at Northwest Missouri and Maryville, Missouri. And then after that, we'll take a little bit of a break, and then Christmas break, we'll have about 3 or 4 weeks off for that. Then we'll come back in January, and our first indoor competition will be January the 18th.
Great.
So.
And we're talking indoors, people vision like Leggett and Platt. That's the indoor type of facility.
Yeah, it'd be like at Leggett and Platt. We'll run in a facility like that. There's several of those around that are close that we go to, and you run more laps indoors because the tracks are shorter, and so for a mile indoors you would run 8 laps. Compared to an outdoor track that most people are probably more familiar with, that would be 4 laps on an outdoor track. So. Basically, you're running twice the distance on an indoor track, so a lot more turning.
A lot more turning, kind of leaning as you turn sometimes, tying that together. Then does indoor transition to outdoors later in the spring?
Yes, so then indoor goes all the way until the second week into March, and then we have about a week break there, and then we go into outdoor season, and that's probably what more people are familiar with. So then we have an outdoor season that goes all the way to the end of May.
So as student athletes, you're really involved in your sport almost throughout the whole academic year.
Yes.
So what does it take to be a successful student athlete? I know we've emphasized at Missouri Southern your students and your athletes. And share for some of the audience to realize the time that takes as far as you're still going to school, you're studying, you have a lot of assignments and so forth.
I would say it's a lot of like time management. Like you have to know how to manage your time and like spend it wisely, excuse me. And like the time that you aren't at practice, you want to spend like doing your homework and studying, because like if you don't use that time wisely, then like you'll fall behind, and it's really hard to like get caught up once you are behind.
Right. So the challenge is all students have in time management, but you're having a little bit more of it with your schedule.
Yeah, it requires a lot of sacrifices. To be a successful student athlete, because most of your time is occupied, because when you're not in practice, you're in school.
Right.
So you don't have a lot of time to waste around. So anyway, time management is a very important factor there. Yeah, because when you're not when you're not in track, when you're not in school, you have homework to do. So you don't have a lot of time.
Right. And I bet that's an important factor for all the athletes.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, the cross country teams, the women's GPA this year for the season was 3.6, and the men were right around 3.0. So really academically, you know, that's what at the end of the day we want them to graduate, get a degree, so that they can go on and do other things. Because a lot, you know, running this period of time of 4 years for them is really about the most that they'll do it. But it's something that they're good at, so we try to use that to
help them with their academic pursuit. And running something you take with you after graduation. I mean, you can continue to run and do things. And that you have former runners who were on the teams that are continuing to run in those marathons and things. You keep up with former runners?
Yeah, actually, Kimmy Shank, one of our former runners, she just finished a marathon this past weekend out in California, and she actually qualified for the Olympic trials from that race. So, yeah, there's several of them that are still doing that.
So it's something, a skill, a talent that you can take with you wherever you go. So, well, looking forward to next season. Obviously, we have cross country this season behind us. You have goals next year. You want to be back on that trip to nationals, or
Exactly.
What do you were representing the women's team. You didn't have your whole team with you. What do you tell your teammates as far as when you came back and they said, "What was it like at nationals?"
They, excuse me. They actually traveled up to watch me.
Oh, great.
A group of them. They made a trip that was like 13 hours.
So they drove up there.
Yeah, they drove through the night just to make it to watch me race, which like that truly like meant a lot. And like I feel like them being there and the support, like they knew like what I was going through, and like they could tell like what the course was like. They could see.
So it was nice to have them on the sidelines kind of cheering as you came by.
Yeah, because being all the way up in Pennsylvania, like we didn't have very many people. There were some parents there, but like nothing like how regionals was. We had somebody cheering at like every corner.
Just right across the street.
Yeah, it meant a lot for them to go up and cheer me on.
That's great. So hopefully you maybe inspired some of them to say, we want to be there next year too as a team.
Yeah, I definitely do feel like it motivated them to like, all right, like we want to make it to nationals next year. Like we're going to be out there. And
great.
So.
And of course the men's team was there together, and of course you were supporting each other as well as competing with each other.
Yes, exactly. So I want to tell our men's team that being at nationals is not only enough. We need to go and work for it, win the national.
So not only you're there, you want to win it.
Yeah, we want to win it.
Right, and
Yes.
you probably see a lot of world-class runners at a national competition like this from around the country.
Yeah, they're really, you know, every once in a while there'll be some that come from Division II that are Olympians and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Right.
For sure.
So you can be inspired by seeing the ones you're running against in the
Yeah.
competition and,
Yes.
and follow them as they go through. So as we look at this upcoming spring and the upcoming session coming with indoor, do you have any special goals that you want to set for yourself or your teams, I guess, for the indoor season?
Yeah, we wanna do really great. We wanna do really well, like we did in cross country. So I wanna tell my teammates that let's go for it. Put in the same efforts that we've been putting in, and set goals for yourself, and also we set goals as a team. Yes.
So it's great to continue that success to the next season.
Yes.
And same with the women as well, and
Yes.
tying that together. And Coach, I don't want to leave without mentioning that you have received Coach of the Year honors this year as well. So tell me your reaction to an MIAA and regional coach honors.
Well, it's always a great honor to get those awards, and you know, really, it's the athletes that allow you to win those awards. So I'm grateful to be able to coach some great athletes to be able to get those awards. So.
Do you ever have other coaches come up and say, "What's the key to success?" Because you have had a very successful program.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the athletes. You know, them working for a goal and attaining those goals at the end of the year. So.
And does it mean something extra for the teammates to be able to say our coach has received this recognition?
Yeah, it means a lot.
It's a lot of pride for
Yeah,
Everybody
I'm really
knows
happy for
Coach
Coach.
Burnham.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for sharing some information for our audience, and once again congratulate you on your successful seasons that you've had this year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And look forward to continuing to follow that success as we go along at Missouri Southern.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're
Thanks.
welcome. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. As you see, we've had a chance to look at Missouri Southern's cross-country teams and their success here in 2018. I look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time on this station. I'll see you then.